What up, though, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. Today, I'm here to talk about DC's Harley Quinn. It's an animated show. It was originally on DC's streaming service called DC Universe. That service has kind of transitioned its video material into HBO Max, and that's now where DC's Harley Quinn lives. It's got 2 seasons so far, 13 episodes apiece, about 23 minutes apiece, something like that. You know, kind of what you're accustomed to with your typical sitcoms. Um, and yeah, so I checked that out, and man, am I eating crow on this one or what, man? So about 4 episodes in, I posted to my personal Facebook page. I said, I'm 4 episodes into this, and I don't see why people like this show so much, because I heard such great things. Everybody's like, this show is fucking awesome. Everybody should fuck with this show. It's great, yada yada yada. And I'm 4 episodes in, and I'm like, this shit is basically like a superhero starring sitcom that's with a whole bunch of profanity. So think like a superhero version of like Friends or some shit. Super Friends. There we go. So but yeah, think of like a Friends with like superheroes and they're cursing a lot. And one form of comedy that I absolutely hate, and I use form of comedy loosely, is the idea that the more you swear, the funnier you are. Like I'm not a prude by any means. I swear more than anybody that I personally know in real life. I have the filthiest mouth I know, but I it needs to have a point. Like, don't just think like just because I'm looking at a cartoon character cursing that's enough for me to like think this show is great. It's not. It's not even close. Like, as a matter of, it's gonna actively make me not like your show if you think that all you need to do is like, if your mind is simple enough to think animated characters cursing, that's gonna be funny because you don't normally see that. Like, okay, well, you have the brain of a fucking 8-year-old. Like, what kind of logic is that? So but that's what the show felt like to me. I'm watching. I'm like, this is like a sitcom. Like it's all over the place. Like there's like these heists and like there's I said a ton of cursing. Like they're cracking jokes. It almost felt like it needed a laugh track. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I posted that. I had a couple people comment on it saying like, yo, I fucking love this show. I'm like, man, what the fuck do people like about this show? So I told myself I'd finish season one. And I'm like, if I finish season one and I think this show is good, I'll give it the second season. If I still feel this way after 13 episodes, that's more than enough time. I've given the show enough chance. I'm gonna record a video saying, hey, I watched Harley Quinn. It fucking sucked. I only watched the first season. Don't watch this show. But that show told me to go fuck off, because probably by episode 6, I was feeling it. And what I like about this show is it did evolve into something where they had a set cast, just like on Friends. I don't know why I'm referencing Friends. I've never even fucking watched Friends. Like, I've seen a couple episodes. It's not funny. I don't like it. But it has a central cast, and it allows those characters to interact with one another, and they build their relationships. And now you get used to like, okay, this character, this is how this person is, and now you're comfortable with who that person is. Now their lines hit funnier. Now you see them interacting with another character who you are now familiar and comfortable with, and now like all these interactions hit differently when you have a core set of characters that you see with their own personalities growing together or having issues together, not even, or neither one, just having interactions. But it's these unique personalities consistently interacting with one another and building and feeding off of one another over the course of this show. And as that happened, it made the show 10 times more enjoyable, because it stopped being like, okay, this is animated characters cursing because they think that's funny, or because the creators, I should say, think that's funny, and more of like, okay, now we have an idea of what each of these characters is like personally, and what kind of humor they bring to the show. So as that continues, the show just gets better and better, because now it's like now these are characters you are comfortable with. So the core group consists of Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, King Shark, Clayface, Dr. Psycho, and Ivy's landlord, Psy, who is like a android kind of guy, where like he has like a metal arm and leg, and he's in a wheelchair. Weird shit, right? That, for one, that's a random collection of DC characters, right? So that, like, how do you even start with that? Like, okay, we want to make a show about Harley Quinn. You know who we need to have in? Clayface. Oh, and King Shark. It's just a weird combination of people, I think, to choose to emphasize in the show. But it brings in a lot of other villains. I really like when they have Bane on there, because they constantly reference the Dark Knight film series when they have Bane on there, and it's always funny. Bane talks like an exaggerated version of the Bane from The Dark Knight Returns. And actually, my favorite line of the series was a Bane line. So they really do great stuff with Bane. My favorite character on the show is King Shark. I can't explain why, but King Shark, man, is just fucking hilarious to me. Like, I love this idea of this shark that's like, sharks are considered vicious, but this guy is like kind of geeky, kind of soft spoken, not much of a tough guy, kind of nerdy, and then every now and then can have like these violent outbursts. And like it's that dynamic of like 1 minute he's kind of nerdy and geeky, and then the next minute he's like screaming the F word and killing people and all kinds of craziness. But I really like King Shark. I really came to like Clayface. They made Clayface like a classic English actor or some shit. Like, I don't know, but to him, they took Clayface, and he's not so much just like, oh, this is a guy who can change into different things. It's like he takes that changing into different things to a whole new level, because everything's like a performance for him because he's an actor. So like, that was an interesting twist to put on that. I really like the relationship between Harvey and Harvey. That can be their like what they call the shipping names, Harley and Ivy. Harvey. Like, I like that. I like Harvey. I'm team Harvey. I know, but they have a great relationship, Harley and Ivy, and I think both of the actresses that play them do an excellent job, including Kaylee Cuoco, who is doing a great job voicing Harley on this show. And then, speaking of the relationship between Harley and Ivy, what I think elevated season 2 even above season 1 was the fact that they did some really good stuff from an emotional aspect. So like, there was an episode with Mr. Freeze that had like a complete kind of like kick in the balls emotional moment at the end of it. I'm not going to spoil it at all, but I was sitting there watching it like, wow, this is actually really good. Like they're doing a really good job of giving us a heavily weighted emotional moment. So that was cool. And then there's like over like a 4, 5, 6 episode arc. They touched on, like, not touched on, but like they fleshed out and had a whole kind of like side story of a lesbian relationship between Harley and Ivy, and them actually loving each other. And like the way that plays out, like Ivy gets engaged to a guy who is a I'm not even gonna get started on Kite Man, but Ivy gets engaged to Kite Man, and like it makes for actually really interesting emotional relationship between Ivy and Harley. I was about to say Harvey again. It really makes it makes Team Harvey have to deal with a lot of shit. So I thought they did some really good stuff there too. So like, on top of having unique takes on characters, on top of making this team really work well together. And I like the fact that it's animated, so you can kind of make it work as much as you want to. You don't have to have like real on-screen chemistry. You can you can just draw it, but you still need it from the voice actors. I get it, but like, it's a little bit easier, I think, when you have to worry about on-screen chemistry, but and you can draw the facial expressions that you want. But a team that works really well together, that's entertaining together, individual characters that are really funny, interesting plot lines. Like, Harley tries to do things that are, sometimes it has an episodic nature where like from week to week, it's like, okay, this is what's trying to happen. And then it seems like in the second half of each season, they build out something of a several episode story arc that's also entertaining and that's also interesting. So like, they're doing good stuff there. And then they even find a way to wedge in some really heartfelt moments. I'm like, man, this show kind of is killing it in a lot of ways. So like I said at the top, I got to eat crow on this one. Granted, 4 episodes in out of 26, I can't fault myself too much for being hard on it, but I ended up being really wrong. I really enjoyed this show. I breezed through the rest of it pretty quickly. It's taken a while for me to record this video because there were more current things that I wanted to record and get out first. But I tore through the show pretty quickly. It's just been a little while for me to record this video and get it up. But I do highly recommend it. If you have a weak stomach for violence or profanity, then I don't recommend it. But if you could stomach that kind of stuff, because it does get, like, the violence is incredibly gory on this show. I mean, it's animated; they can do whatever they want. So, but if you don't have a weak stomach and you can handle that stuff, I highly recommend this show. It was really good. But I'll just say, give it more than 4 episodes. I think I probably said, okay, I'm kind of rocking with this show probably around episode 6. So, and I don't know if episode 6 is a special kind of episode or anything like that, but I just feel like by the time I hit 6, I was kind of like, this is all right. So, Harley Quinn doing pretty much everything right. The comedy, the characters, the storylines, the emotional relationships. It's the voice work. Everybody's doing a great job. So, I look forward to a season 3. And I'm eating crow on this one. I was wrong. This show fucking rocks. Peace.